So when I started taking basketball serious was, so in 6th grade, I wound up going to a school called Grover Cleveland. My aunt was the principal. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to be a shoo-in. Now, all of this time, I'm playing a little AAU. I tried out for the 6th grade team, got cut. Now, went back the next year, tried out for the team again. My name wasn't on it, so I said, well, maybe I'm a newcomer. Maybe I could turn the paper over and my name might be on the back. My name wasn't on the back of the paper. At that moment, I thought I was going to be a shoo-in. I thought my aunt was going to be like, oh, well, if you get in trouble, I'm not going to tell your dad. Nah, she's straight educated. Straight educated. She didn't play. I was in her office writing, I will not, blah, 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 blah. And you couldn't put I all the way down. You had to actually write each one out. So the discipline side was crazy. So now my mom comes from South Carolina. She's in Linden, New Jersey, my grandmother and my other siblings. And I tried out for the team in 8th grade. But during that time, I had to go back down south with my older cousins, Pista, Ski, Lamont. These are all my first cousins. And they would rough me up to where the basketball court was grass, with the wooden backboard. I'm talking about old school, right? So they taught me some skills, man. I came back. Long story short, I came to Linden, New Jersey to a school called Seoul Middle School, and I made the 8th grade team. Started playing at Rucker Park at 15 years old. So all the stuff is starting to happen. You got a kid from Byway, South Carolina, Elizabeth, New Jersey, Linden, New Jersey, and I done made my way across the water, right? At 15. Now, while I'm playing until like my, middle school, I did phenomenal. I had an undefeated team that year, and that was the making, which also was pivotal, was AAU. AAU was very, very, very pivotal during that time. AAU was a privilege versus a business. My opinion, not all AAU teams. I was able to play with the North Rams, Brian Crawford, and also was able to play with the Gauchos, Lou Almeida. My point guards were Stephon Marbury, Felipe Lopez, Mo Green, Sam Gard. We had a monster squad. And that was during the times where you couldn't play with other teams. And I asked Brian Crawford, I said, why'd you let me play with the Gauchos? He was like, well, he said, man, we ain't never probably gonna go overseas. And they was going overseas. We was with the France, we're playing with those guys. But so I had all of this stuff going on, and then all that just started transitioning over to, the Rucker Park I heard about Rucker Park, and this is after, this is before the USBLs and all that stuff, but Rucker Park was different. And once again, you have a kid that's coming from New Jersey. They say everything is better in New York. Everything is better in the big cities, and New Jersey gets overlooked. So not only was I going out there to put on, but I was going out there to show them who I am, not knowing, once again, when we're into it and something we love to do, we don't know what we're doing culture-wise. We don't know, how the fans feel. I don't know how I have fans. I'm just coming out here to play ball. So that was a little bit of my, my story, My bad, y'all can ask y'all questions, but I just get so into this, you know what I mean?
Because I love it. You got us flowing. I'm loving it because if I do have a question, it's more of in that though. I want to go back to when you went to Mississippi and or you went back down south and they was beating you up. What were they doing to you? Because it takes a lot to take something from the south and then try to integrate that up north.
So we from a town called Rembert and Dalzell, South Carolina. Like I said, that's where my mother went to school with Ray Allen's father, his biological father. So these are like real roots. Like this, we have our own cemetery down here. So my roots start with my grandmother, Maggie Jackson. So they play different, like my cousin. I'm the youngest, so my cousin's a little older. Bruising you up, elbowing you, and I'm going to the basket, and I'm a kid of all sports, but I never shined in none of them. I was a quarterback in middle school. I played quarterback, defensive end. Baseball, I was a great pitcher, but I was always afraid to hit. I didn't want to hit the ball because I knew how fast I was throwing the ball, So, but down south, that whole, just even thinking back when I was younger, what also made my dad come and get me. One day I said, Dad, I said, listen, I said, they paddled me, whatever. There's a paddle, you know? And he was like, a paddle? I said, what you mean a paddle? He said, yeah, like depends on what you do. The principal has a paddle, like a hitting paddle. You put your hand out and he hits you how many times or whatever, right? So this are some things that was different from the South than up here. So my dad, I remember him saying, God rest him, man. That's my man. He told me, he was like, I'm going to tell you like my father told me. I didn't get a chance to meet my grandfather, Mr. John Dixon. I was born in 74. I think he died in 73. Well, my dad is like, listen, I'm going to tell you what your grandfather told my teachers and told the whole school. He said, I have 10 kids. 9 of them are going to come through the system. You better not ever put your hands on none of them. See, what was going on before that? Yeah, we know the stories about roots and all that, whatever, but when you're young, you really don't understand it. So my dad was more on that, like, yo, y'all not putting y'all hands on my kid. Like, hitting you with a paddle, man. And then I was already getting in trouble. So I remember he came and got me, man. And I think where I'm at today, the Creator had all of these things set out. We just had to navigate. I tell people, people be worrying about the destination. Like, to me, it's like the journey, because the destination can change. So the destination, these are destinations we collaborating about right now, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, talk to us, man, about just the basketball scene.
Right.
In really the difference between New Jersey and New York, because
they right over the bridge. Like actually, they so close, but they so far away.
Believe it or not, yeah, remember, we from an era of basketball. No diss to nobody, no disrespect. Like they say, respectfully. You know what I'm saying? We learned, you know, it wasn't all these parachutes, cones, and all that. You know what I mean? You got, you know, timing. You got the manager over here. You got the, you know, the trainer over here. We ain't had none of that. Like I said, we learned from basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We learned from basketball. Like, you had to be out there, you know, playing all, like I tell my sons now, you know, they always be talking mess. And I was like, yo, y'all will never be better than me, man, because y'all didn't play as much as basketball than me. But they know, so I don't get me wrong. If I really was the challenger right now, I can't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I do know that I want to always have a little bit more basketball knowledge, not because I sat back and I analyzed it. I was a part of that product. I was a part of that playing on different atmospheres. You know, I had the hustler's mentality. We hustled through all different weathers, through any storms. You know, we got the trenches on, the long johns on, we moving around. So it was no different with basketball, even if we had to shovel the court. These new generation can't say that. You know what I mean? They got a lot of things going on. They can play 2K against their friend right now from all across the world. We have to be out there. So the things that we learned was just different. And when you talk about the comparisons, for me, I gotta say this. I'm not a sports guy. I never had a favorite team, favorite player. I can't tell you who played, what time they played, what their stats is, who the coach. I don't know none of that stuff. I know a little bit because of my son. You catch a little ESPN, right? So just for my travels, the West Coast, I think they're more like, their flashiness is that jump shot. They could shoot, right? I think when it comes to more like the north side, especially like a New Jersey, I think we're defenders. Like, we play defense. We don't get, of course, you know, you get a highlight tape of offense, but just defense, right? So, and then New York, of course, you know, I think Chicago, Detroit, y'all mix it up a little bit, more like the South. We could get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you know, we got this here, so we could just fit in where we need to be at, right? So then you got New Yorkers more flamboyant, more flashy, head. And I ain't talking about the Air One stuff. I'm talking about real flashy, pop, within the confines of the rules, flashy, Harlem flashy, Mink Coach, Cam, Jimmy, and all them flashy, you know, all the Whitley Burger flashy, 55th flashy, all that Grant's Tomb flashy. I'm talking about all that stuff, you know? So I was able to see all of that stuff, remember it very well, but my whole thing was I'm going out here to play basketball. How I was introduced to Rucker Park was a guy, Antonio Carrera, a.k.a. Mousy. Met Mousy at 15 years old. I was coming from a gym, a gaucho